Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
It is episode 219.
Summer recap, otherwise known as Where We've Been.
This week on Cup of Rad. Hey everybody, we are back in your ears like a dirty sock under the...
What?
You found in your gym bag.
You would start out so strong.
I was all excited and then I lost it.
And then it went into weird places.
That's what we like to do. We like to put things in weird places.
I was like, that is just the quintessential cup of rad right there in your face. Just sorts of weirdness, right? And slap you right in the face.
With a fish.
We've been gone for forever.
It's been 84 years.
I can't believe how many times I've said that today, actually. But I walked downstairs to record, told Kiddo, and I was like, wish us luck. It's been 84 years since we did this. And he was like, what?
That's right, because he doesn't know Titanic.
I know, right?
And no, we haven't been on the Titanic. We haven't gone near the Titanic. And there's no need for us to go near the Titanic in the near future.
I mean, that would be a really change up of our life if we were like, oh, by the way, we went on a Titanic expedition.
Yeah. You know? Totally was.
No, we got stuck watching Titanic over and over again. Also strange, see?
There's that's like a what would you rather?
Okay. What would you rather watch Titanic over and over again?
With a fish tape.
Or listen to this podcast.
Tell your friends. Right? Listen to the Cup of Rad podcast, or you'll get a fish taped to your belly and have forced to watch Titanic on repeat for a year.
A fish taped to your belly? I mean, what kind of fish? Is it going to be like an anchovy fish or
no,
a fish?
A fish. A fish. I don't know what that meant. Why your hands were out there with this a swordfish. That's right. We're going to tape a swordfish to your belly. Okay, that's right. Because then there's more danger involved.
We got ourselves some iced coffee because a little bit of summer weather showing up here. So
weird.
Yeah.
Want some caffeine?
Caffeine. Right? Good times.
So where have we been? Where have we been at, yo? What have we been up to? We did a lot of camping. Well,
since we spoke to the wonderful people of the podcast, we've only gone camping once. No, we didn't. Twice. 1 week. A little bit.
Twice.
But no, we camped already in July. And then we did Barbenheimer and Turtles.
Oh, you've already erased Mousegate.
Oh, I know we did that, but yes.
That came out. That was
I know.
So we've camped twice.
Okay.
Since we did the last episode.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
We're on the same page. I understand. But one night versus gone for a whole week.
Yeah,
a little bit different. But yes, Mousegate. I didn't really want to talk about it because there was already Mousegate 2.0 for 7 days.
Yeah. So it got really cold on our camping trips, and apparently mice were like, you know what? This really clean ass campsite, we gotta go investigate the vehicles, because look, if the campsite's so clean, those vehicles gotta have some food and gotta be dirty as fuck, right?
Oh wow.
And no, the vehicles are clean and everything's locked away inside the vehicles.
We learned that from original Mousegate.
Yeah.
It was still clean, but then just locked away now.
Okay, riddle me this, Batman, if you may. Let's turn the wheel back. July. Warm, hot, camping. All our food just in bags.
Oh wait, we actually even left.
That's where I was going.
Okay, go ahead.
I was tired. I assumed family would take care of vehicle. I went to bed.
It's hilarious.
I got up in the morning. The Jeep was completely open in the back.
The whole back gate was open.
Not a single creature in the entire vehicle. No food disturbed. Okay. Vehicle completely closed up. Creatures decide to get in.
Yeah.
It had to have been the cold.
No food. Yeah, all of our food was in containers. Everything was packed away. And yeah, it was cold because near the end of it, I mean, we were doing like extreme measures to get rid of them, but it was also got warmer, so we had less of that, right? So
though the day that it got hot, it was gone.
It was gone,
there was
right? So that, of course, was very traumatizing for it, and
it was stressful each morning, waking up and not knowing if something was in anything.
I'm glad it was the second camping trip, because if it had happened in July and we had another week, it would have been really, really hard. So
we would have burned it. We would have just like.
Oh, well, you wanted to torch it in the middle of the trip.
I felt that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, so, we had really cold weather, so as much as it was nice to get away and try to enjoy some of that outdoors, it was not nearly as relaxing as July's was. When we did get to go on the water and the beach, it was a great day, but there was just so limit on that. So it's unfortunate that really, really KO'd it. But we did have some fun festivals in August. We had a local, it's called Mural Fest. So there's some really awesome giant murals on the sides of buildings downtown, and they've made a whole art festival out of it, and that was a lot of fun. I'm really glad we went to that. There was live music all over the place. There was a tour. There was a market. There was murals actually happening at the time.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun. So we did that, and then the following weekend we had our Pride
Pride event.
Pride event. No, what is it?
It's just Pride.
It's just Pride. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we had that all day, which was also very fun. It was very, very warm.
Yeah.
So that really, unfortunately, put a bit of a damper on it. And sorry, total off tangent, but why is the Lorax up with the turtles?
Because the Toxic Crusader boxes are where the Lorax was.
Oh, okay.
And I forgot.
It's like Mikey and the Lorax are just having a good time.
They're vibing.
They are vibing. Okay.
No, that was legitimately what happened.
Okay.
It was. I forgot that I put them there because I put the Toxic Crusader boxes.
Okay. We're cool.
We cool.
We understand. Then.
Well, I had a day. I went to Vancouver Pride. I had a day in Vancouver, and we also were training. At
the gym.
Yeah, I was gonna say that we were gonna train to be like ninjas or something, but you blew that out of the water. No surprise.
I'm so used to people. They're like, I just talk about it like, well, they're training, and they're like, training for what? I'm like, it makes sense. You don't just automatically assume, and training is also the gym training. So,
training to murder.
Training to be ninjas. I like it.
Yeah.
If only.
Booty ninjas.
Booty ninjas. Interesting. Sneak attack booties.
Yeah.
Okay.
That seems like something from Ren and Stimpy.
It does. I like it legitimately. I can see his, or like SpongeBob.
Where the butt just like suddenly just.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exactly it. Okay.
The cheeks are just cracking walnuts and breaking bricks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Booty ninjas. And then we had back to school.
Dun, dun,
back to work. Back to
dun.
terribleness.
The long days of...
I'm really noticing the change. Like it has been cooler temperatures, but it's still we've had some of these warmer weekends and everything like that, but it's like this weird in between, because I can't really, that transition period where I'm trying to let go of summer, I still haven't really like hit fall, but it's definitely so short. Like sunset was like 7:30 or some insanity.
Well, it's dark when we get up already.
It's terrible, right? And it makes me sad, and it's just like depression September. And it's sad. It's just...
It all came crashing down.
And all just terribleness happened so quickly. So, I mean, it is almost fall, so it makes sense. What? No, we got a week left of summer. And then I'll have to officially let go of it. Just be like, no, Katie.
Then it's sweater weather.
It's fall.
That's right.
There we can see I can't have the apple spice, like any sort of Starbucks fall drink, until it's next weekend.
Oh, when we were there, they already said they were out of pumpkin spice.
I thought I heard that too.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, obviously, they're going to get restocked.
Well, yeah, but...
Might have riots in the streets if PSLs are gone. I, for the record, don't care about it, but I know lots of people who do.
Yeah. So we have actually watched a few things. So guess what? We're going to give you the pop culturally rundown eventually. You just got to wait and find out how and when and how and where. So I finally got my Toxic Crusaders Super 7s. I haven't had a lot of chance to take some
We
photos
actually have
of them,
new toys.
which was really super cool to get them. I'd only gotten Junkyard and the Radiation Ranger out of the wave because I had already had Toxie from the original time around, and the realization that the figures were based more on the toys versus the cartoon, and the new Toxie that they released was based on the cartoon. So it was kind of like, well, I don't need it, even though the one head was really super cool. It looked really amazing, but I have my Toxie, and I do, I freaking love the Junkyard. He looks so cool.
Yeah. The Junkyard's the dog, right?
The dog, yeah. And the Radiation Ranger is like can go in that full hunch mode that the old toy was in. The only thing that sucks is his one elbow is a little loose, but besides that,
the one that just flies around.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to taking pictures of them because I was super excited for them, and they. Do
you have a good diorama background for them?
I'll use the Toon Sewer.
Okay, that makes sense.
That'll look good with them.
Yeah.
With the bright colors and all that, I think it'll look good with it. So, but I am very. Yeah, I know it's kind of a mess over there, huh?
Not at all. I was just I hadn't looked at the whole setup of the dioramas for a while, and I just forget what a cool setup you actually figured out for it all. And then I was looking over and I see the little TV, and I was just trying to remember about it. So
that's fair. But yeah, so no, I'm really excited for that. Super 7 did say that they're actually still going to be releasing some eventually because it's a real niche market thing. But so they're going to do at least one more wave.
Okay.
With Bonehead and Major Disaster, but so as long as they bring out No Zone, they need No Zone.
What is he?
He's got a big nose and a wheel for a foot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so. But I was really excited. I found out that Trick or Treat Studios made a Toxie latex mask.
That thing was amazing.
I want it. I want to be Toxie.
Oh, that would be funny. Yeah. Well, one day maybe.
So. But that's really the toy news. It's been a really dry summer.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't even looking into GameStop. There isn't really anything. We haven't been unfortunately down at Toy Traders. It really hasn't been much going on, huh? It's been very quiet. Yeah.
Well, I'm still waiting for NECA's Jim Lawson Mirage Turtles to show up. They did reply to one of my comments about it and said they're supposed to get a mass release. The Target thing was supposed to be just a Target first. So those are the need. Yeah. The must that I have. So do we go with TV or movie first?
Well, you know what? It's been driving me nuts that we didn't talk about the next movie that we were supposed to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know why this didn't happen. This should have happened before the Turtles podcast, but then it never happened.
I know, right? But we went and saw the new Haunted Mansion.
The Haunted Mansion.
The Haunted.
Or did they was it the Haunted Mansion or was it just Haunted Mansion?
I don't know. I'm gonna look it up, but it was.
I don't know if it was what DC did and just added a the, or did they just remove the and make it Haunted Mansion?
Oh.
Now I can't remember.
Well, we will.
Because it's been 84 years.
It's been 84 years, yeah.
Yeah, so we did go see.
It is just Haunted Mansion.
So we'll just backtrack all that. We went and saw Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Disney's Haunted Mansion.
Unfortunately, not in real life, just on the screen.
Yeah, right. So this is coming out on Disney Plus on October 4th. This podcast hopefully will have dropped before then.
It definitely will. At least by the 3rd.
So,
I was really looking forward to this, just based on the trailers and everything like that. And I was super, super impressed with it. It lived up to my expectations, exceeding it even. I loved all the little Easter eggs, the straight out right from the ride. It felt like someone who really cared about the ride itself.
Yeah.
And made a cohesive story based on that. It had a bad ghost villain, not a love story that was the reason for it. You know, of course I'm going to compare it to the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion, just because it was the only other version of it. And then, you know, when I originally had seen the Eddie Murphy one, it was
You
fun.
could just call that the Haunted Mansion, because that's what it is.
You're right.
That the makes all the difference.
It makes all the difference, man. But I want it to be very clear. I really enjoyed that one at the time, but the more I watched it, the more irritated I got, because the more I really cared about the ride, you realize that there is very little that has anything to do with it, and then it's just so much of the I never liked the real romance premise of it anyway in the storyline. So this one was just so much fun that it actually had a horror element to it. You know, there was some scariness to it. There was jumps to it. There was actual ghosts. They were not just
in the
silly
background.
And in the background, right?
Yeah.
There was mysticism. There was, you know, there was the Haunted Mansion the ride is fun because it's that mix between silly but also scary and creepy, and it's meant to make you feel kind of heebie-jeebie-ish. And I think this movie did a really good job of that. So.
Yeah, it was really cool to see so much of the ride come to life without feeling super forced, unlike, say, in The Haunted Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was something I thought was kind of cool, because, you know, it was always that weird, like, well, how would that work in a movie or in a story? And I liked how it did that aspect, especially, like, you know, the dueling portraits, how that kind of explained.
Yeah, they gave actual reasons for so many of those.
And there was no, it didn't really feel, it felt like it was doing like a horror movie for kids. Mm-hmm. Without getting too goofy or scary. So it was like definitely in that preteen era. Or where the family horror, right, which I thought was kind of cool, because
which is exactly what the ride fits. Right,
because it was never too outlandishly goofy. Mm-hmm. But that was the thing that was interesting, was the ghosts were never really outlandishly goofy until the end. There was, and that's where my only real gripe came, was that it was like so almost adult and dark with the story, all up until like the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where it got, where it was like, well, we can't continue the darkness. We've got to like give it the hope and the happiness, and like the rousing speech by the con man priest, right, to like get all the ghosts to help. Yeah. Right. And then that's when you got a bit more of the goofiness of the ghost came out. Yeah. Which is fine for what it is, but it was like,
but it was that
shift in tone, right?
Yeah.
Was like, it was so evil feeling, and like there was actual like menacingness to what was happening, and then it was just like rah rah. Yeah, right. I was like, wait a minute, hold on.
I didn't enjoy that they actually were able to weave a good human story into it with multiple characters that you actually cared about, and that actually were able to grow and change. Yeah. And I was surprised how well they actually did that. You know, and made them fit together and made them work off of each other, and had something, you know, flow more realistically, right? Yeah. Even just the beginning, I remember the beginning was just like, it's like, oh, this is how it is, and then all of a sudden it just hits you in the face with sadness, and it really set a tone for it, of a lot darker. Yeah. And I was like, immediately I was like, oh, okay, like this is what it's gonna be like, right?
And like that's what, like, I saw that opening with McKee's character and his story and all that, and it was like, I think that's why when it has a bit of tonal shift near the end, that's why I felt a little off put.
Yeah.
Because like the bulk of it like feels so much darker.
You're not allowed to have hope in Mike's movies.
No.
Just constant darkness and pain. There's no rallying behind the positive good guys or anything. It just must be terrible. Just wanted to sum that up for you.
No, but it's just that.
But yes.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, just didn't feel like the place for it. I like that they actually set it in New Orleans, and you actually got to see some New Orleans stuff. I thought it was really cool.
So Kiddo was so excited because the mansion itself looked like the Disneyland Haunted Mansion. And there is the other mansion that is related to the story that related to the Hatbox Ghost. And Kiddo leans over in the middle of it and he's like, "That's the one from Disney World." He just like went off, and I was like, he was so excited that he knew that.
Yeah.
Because he studied our coffee table book about the Haunted Mansion stuff. And so he does remember that.
Yeah.
And it was a cool nod because it didn't need to be that in the movie, and yet it was.
They made it that way, and I think that that is cool that they right.
So
no, there was a lot of great.
I'm excited to watch it again.
Use of the ghosts and the actors, in the story. Like, I definitely enjoyed this one far beyond.
Well, I can see myself watching it again multiple times. Honestly, like it could be at every few years, adding to the Halloween season idea. I did like that it gave little stories to the parts of the Haunted Mansion, like you had mentioned with the dueling pistols and just extra little tiny story behind all the different ghosts. It was so much fun being like, oh yeah, that one, and then just like even little nods where she got attacked by the chair and she goes zooming in, but the chair looked like a dune buggy. Yeah, like it didn't. It was just such a simple thing. It still fit. Wasn't like, oh wow, what the hell is this going on? Yeah, because it fit with what the story was going on, but it was just that extra little nod. Yeah. So I thought it was fun. So I do understand your tonal shift for that, but I was just so overwhelmed by being happy about it. Oh yeah, I don't think I cared, but
I do really wonder though if Disney will ever, not like an R-rated horror movie, but like a more serious Haunted Mansion, right? I wonder if they'll ever do that. I wonder if we'll ever get to a point that because like they had Del Toro working on it, and then they canned it.
So out of curiosity though, okay, if we think about the ride. Oh yeah. It ends with a giant swinging party, and then it ends with these goofy hitchhiking ghosts. Yeah. And it's just like, ha ha ha. I know then of course you have the bride there, so it's a little bit creepy. But it's not really it gets lighter through the ride. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, like, it would have to be a dark horror movie, but then, like, what would be the ending? How would you end that?
I guess where I'm going is that, like, would they ever tell a story that doesn't have the same lead up as, like, because, like, both in reality, both Haunted Mansion movies have that same kind of lead up to, like, that defeat of
the bad guy,
right? Could you do, even if it was like a series? I've always thought there would be a cool idea doing a series of, like, if Gracie actually had been collecting the spirits and all the spirits were attached to artifacts and he kept bringing them home, and then he died before he collected his, thousandth spirit, right? That idea.
So in your mind then, would it just be a movie that is just like, yep, there's ghosts and it just continues?
Maybe. Okay. Or maybe like a series where you
or like the history of how
you explore each story of each ghost and how they're there throughout. So it's not like a little Twilight Zone kind of like Cabinet of Curiosities, kind of like where it just tells tales of the different ghosts, but you're not leading up to the defeat of one big bad guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay. I think that maybe that's what I feel with Haunted Mansion is like I like the ride. I love the ride. right?
But there's no big bad
There's
guy.
no bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like they're trying to defeat anything. You're just literally going through this place and it's like you're going to make your choice. Are you going to be the thousand spirit, right?
Yeah.
And which I think was cool that they give reason for that in this movie too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But when that's maybe it's a show. Maybe it's a show.
Yeah.
That needs to be like where it's like
more of just
they just tell stories of the
Gracie's
ghosts.
collection.
Yeah. And then it's not necessarily, and within those stories is where you maybe
so
have
how
your
about
bad
you start
guys.
writing stories, like write like a little short story collection
Of all the
it
all
can just
the
be
ghosts.
Gracie's collection,
Right.
and then
So
there's a whole bunch of copyright infringement involved in that, but
little
still,
horror tales, where it's just
there
like
you go.
be like a Goosebumps series feel where it's just spooky little stories that kind of explain each of them and how they got there or how they died and then how they got there. And I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Supernatural meets Goosebumps.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, but like old timey because it would be old timey.
Old timey wimey.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really good. So if you haven't seen it already, you got Disney Plus, October 4th, starting off your spooky season. Or you can start it off early too. But part of your spooky season as of October 4th. Watch Haunted Mansion because it was fun.
There you go.
So this movie was supposed to come out in May, and then it was delayed until August. This was one of those movies that when we originally saw the trailers, we were both all in for.
Yeah.
Starred Will Ferrell. I was going to say Where Ferrell.
Where Ferrell is completely accurate.
Will Ferrell needs to be in a werewolf movie.
Yes, he does.
Oh my god. That trailer just then suddenly where it just like it's Where Ferrell.
Will Ferrell
And Jamie Foxx star in a movie directed by the dude that did Barb and Star, Go to Del Mar. Which we love.
Fantastic.
This here is basically The Incredible Journey, but for adults.
Yes.
It's Talking Dogs, produced by Lord and Miller. And it's
filthy.
it's a
So this is Strays.
the movie is Strays, yeah.
The movie is Strays. It is. We have not laughed this hard because we have not seen a filthy comedy for a very long time. I don't even remember the last time we would have seen a level of movie like this.
But like, because there hasn't been any.
I know.
Even in theater, like
No, I know. I don't remember the last time we had a new filthy comedy. So not Will Ferrell.
Where Ferrell?
Will Ferrell? No,
I guess Cocaine Bear, but it was still not.
No, it's not comedy. Comedy wise.
Yeah, but we did laugh.
Will Forte? No.
Will Forte.
Will Forte. There we go. That's the one I was like. It was.
There's two Wills in this movie.
Two Wills.
Double Will in
plays the world's best owner.
Yeah.
And Where Ferrell's dog just thinks, he's the best owner ever, and Will Forte keeps trying to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And so he drives him 3 hours away finally, because he's a terrible human being. He drives him 3 hours away, and the dog just thinks, oh, this is like the hardest game yet. And
yeah, so he's throw a ball, and then the dog would find his way home.
Yes.
And when he says, fuck, I know I've won.
Yeah, exactly. And so he makes friends with a bunch of dogs there, and one of them is a stray played by Jamie Foxx. Yeah. This little tiny boxer looking thing. And it's their adventures trying to get back, because then he's decided he's gonna he's gonna bite his dick off.
The only thing he loves
is his dick. So
I wish he'd pet me like he pet his dick.
so much sex jokes and so many.
He calls it his custard sprayer.
Oh god. It's so terrible.
I don't know. Is custard sprayer worse than gravy spigot?
Well, they're definitely different flavor palettes. So do you want savory or sweet? So I guess which way do you want to lean on that one?
Wow. I don't know. Which way do you lean on that? But yeah, the jokes, like it you know right off the bat what kind of movie it is, which was hilarious too, because like there was people that left the theater in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, because it was right in your face.
There were the swearing and the jokes and all that were just like boom.
Yeah.
And you know what? I commend them for being that filthy right off the bat.
Yeah, they didn't wait.
And it didn't let up. Even when it had its heartfelt moments, it was still very crude.
Yeah.
You know? So there's 3 rules. Rule number 1, if you pee on it, you own it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, rule number 2, you can fuck anything you want. Number 3, you're out here on your own.
Yeah.
By yourself. So there's a scene in the movie that I think was hilarious when Reggie, Ware Farrell, is...
I couldn't remember his name. Ware Farrell, okay, Reggie,
says to the other dogs, you know, this might sound weird, but, you know, when you pee on something, you own it. Well, I feel like we're like a family, so can I pee on you guys? And you literally have 4 dogs peeing on each other in this scene.
It was so ridiculous.
Like... So there was it was a funny movie, and there was only one scene that was kind of disgusting, and it didn't go on too long, at least. Mm-hmm. The poo scene.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, that was pretty. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was even worse though after the fact, like after they escaped and then the guy is just all covered in it and like all that aftermath of it.
Yeah.
That was definitely an over the top one for sure.
Yeah.
I could have dealt with that.
A little less, yeah. But it didn't go on. It didn't go on so long or get like too.
Okay, so another one of my favorite scenes is at the carnival. When the fireworks start going off, because here they are like all super happy and they're all excited because they're able to steal all these hot dogs and they're going to eat. And then these fireworks start going off and it's like they're in war.
Yeah.
And they're running over to the gate and they're trying to get out and it's just like...
It's so dramatically shot. It's
so dramatic. It feels like the front line of something. Yeah. And they're trying to get out and it's just save yourself. It's fine, you know? And the tone for it. And I appreciate how scary they made it, scared they were, because I think on a serious note, I think it's important to realize how terrifying they are to animals.
Yeah.
And so I liked that they weren't like, oh, it's totally fine, right? That they just didn't understand that, right?
Yeah.
So it was very much of the perspective of what, trying to think of like, what would a dog think of the observations that they have in the world, right?
Yeah.
So I was blown away with how smart it actually really was, how funny it was.
There was a lot of heart in the film.
Yeah.
Even though there was a lot of filth. And
the characters really changed.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of growth.
And you really were rooting for them. They had a lot of... their journey of their relationship, that back and forth, felt very real.
Yeah.
And where they all kind of... between Bug and so Jamie Foxx's character was Bug, and Reggie were of course the 2 main ones. Yeah. But all of them had their changes, right? Yeah. You have the big huge. What kind of dog would he be?
I can't remember.
He used to be a police dog, and then he's basically too anxious and is unable to work anymore. And you still have growth with him of his confidence. And yeah, it was just like, I'm thoroughly impressed on what
I'm excited to watch it again.
Yeah.
Just because it was one of those ones where I laughed so hard throughout it. From the mushroom scene.
I was just going to say, I don't want to spoil that scene, but I haven't been that horrified for a very long time.
Yeah. But it's hilarious.
But it's so hilarious, but it's so horrific.
So yeah, no. Strays is on demand. So like pay-per-view kind of thing or whatever it is. So definitely worth watching if you need a laugh, if you're feeling a little down, like because it has the humor, the filthy humor, but the heart in it, and that's a thing.
It has an amazing feel good about it, right?
Right. So it was really cool to have that whole in it too, because it, it wasn't just filth. There was substance to it, which was a surprise, which at the same time makes sense because it literally is a kids movie, but like R-rated.
Well, it's basically like the people who cared about The Incredible Journey now have grown up and are like, look at what I'm going to make. Well, and then, the bad guy gets his dues. So you also get the fuck yeah. So
yeah,
it's a good movie.
Yeah. I didn't know I had a gnome for a son.
Oh, God. Hello, how are you? I'm your father. Will Ferrell delivered his lines so well, too. Like, just so mellow and calm. And, like, everything's great. And, they did a great voice casting for all of them, too. He's just so proper, almost, with his... Good time. Go see Strays.
Now, speaking of Ware Ferrell,
yes,
imagine his transformation seems similar to how he was in Anchorman in the phone booth.
Yes,
just gonna leave that there.
I just saw a meme of that the other day, like a GIF type thing. I was like, "Yeah, that's an awesome scene." Yeah, let's watch Anchorman.
With Kiddo?
No.
Okay. I wasn't sure. We were planning on watching something.
Oh, yeah, we should watch. Oh, no, we should watch like Mars Attacks or something.
We are going to be doing a Tim Burton-y kind of Mars Attacks, Sweeney Todd. Because we got to start spooky season. We got to kick it off.
Scissorhands.
Kick it.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, we should do that. So.
Yeah. Watch Strays. It was funny. Like, you will laugh. If you like humor, you will laugh.
If you like humor. If you're cool, you will laugh.
Well, you don't have to be cool. You just,
I'm going to hop on over to some TV watching.
Yeah. We don't usually binge watch shows. Mm-hmm. And I guess this technically was not so much of a binge because I think binge is required to watch like multiple episodes in a sitting.
We did. But I'm not screw anyone in the other like proper definition of binging. This was binging for us.
How come binging is seen to be like an okay thing for consumption of television, but if you binge for anything else, it's bad?
Right?
So maybe we should relook at that definition.
Binging, I guess, would be consuming anything of a larger quantity in a shorter amount of time than normal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, binging TV is only okay because the like tracking things need but food manufacturers or alcohol, they all want us to binge things too because we still just it's anyways, that's deep and dark, but binge TV.
So Netflix dropped their live action anime One Piece. So for us, we know a little bit about One Piece through our son. Mm-hmm. He reads the manga and he's got a few statues and he's watched some of the anime, but his main jam is the manga. So he was curious about watching this because I think it was also a little bit more digestible versus seeing the 1,000 episodes of the anime.
Yeah, it feels a little overwhelming, right?
Right. So we sat down as a family and we watched One Piece.
And we couldn't stop watching it.
Yeah, that whole weekend we ended up watching the series.
Yeah.
Which was good.
So I knew the basic characters, of course. We've known a decent amount of what goes on with them, and we've looked at his books. So some of those crazy designs and everything like that. I was blown away how much I enjoyed this series. I'm just called, like I said, hopefully it's just season, but this season here, then I loved that it felt they treated it seriously, but they still had the silliness of the different characters and some of those designs that felt very anime.
Yeah.
In like one of them, guy looked like a video game character come to life. This massive sword and weird like shading on his face and like the structural features and the outfit, and it was so interesting to see. And then some of the shots that they had, I just really felt like I was watching the manga come to life.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed on how they pulled that off.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it felt digestible as someone that doesn't read the manga or doesn't watch the anime. It felt coherent and the characters were likable. And that's something that we were talking about. I've tried a bunch of shows because you had some work meetings and stuff out, and I tried a few different shows and I didn't care about any of the characters. So some of the shows I just turned off because I was like, you need to hook me. Like, I need to have a reason to like you or want to be on your journey.
Yeah.
But if you're just a dick, I don't want to be on your journey. And that's another thing that was really cool about One Piece was that, like, Luffy he had hope and he had charisma, and it was just he was
so positive
and trying to uplift other people to reach their dreams. He
was a real leader.
And it was like, okay, I can get behind. And then like with Zoro, yes, he's a dark brooding, but he was never so mean where you were just like, oh God, this guy again.
Yeah.
Right. And I really found it hard to turn off.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to keep watching because each episode got more and more fun.
And the bad guys were intense.
Yeah.
They were serious, they were scary, they were creepy, they were not something to be trifled with.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because, again, just like anything, it seems like with the anime and the manga stuff, they just keep getting, it's that next ring of hell, basically. Yeah. They just keep getting worse. And it took it seriously.
Yeah. So as much as there was like so much like zany colors and even designs, nothing felt, when it came to the drama or the action, over the top weird or like cheesy. That's what I'm looking for. It didn't feel cheesy.
Yeah.
It was like, yes, this world looks wild and there's wild, crazy characters, but we're going to try to make it as we're going to keep it as serious as possible. And that was very endearing to see something get that kind of treatment. Yeah. Where I look at that and think, why doesn't Hasbro do that with Power Rangers?
Yeah, exactly.
This is a great lesson in how to make a more adult Power Rangers without using old Sentai.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And moving it away maybe from some of the kid, because like...
Well, Kiddo yes, he knows the story, but at the same time, he was very intrigued. Yeah. This was well written. It wouldn't be something where you wouldn't be able to have younger audiences watch it and still have that character growth. Yeah.
And I think, Kiddo had said basically, yes, there's things that different, and they brought things from the future and they shuffled some things around, or this was longer and this was shorter. He's like, but he really got a kick out of it. He really had a lot of fun. And he's not a television person. Yeah. And for him to be like, when are we going to watch this? When are we going to watch this? When are we going to watch this?
Well, he actually liked that one of the in the books, the one character is more of the side little like 1-page update, and he liked that they were given a full Kobe was a storyline in the show, and he really enjoyed the expansion of the story, and so that was kind of cool to see that he enjoyed one of those changes, right? And it really did help move the story along. It fit in there well, so it was. I liked Luffy too because he was irritating me at first because he was very much of the. Not irritating like mad, but just you could see that child and that bit of selfishness that he was there, because you want to have that positivity, but he needed to be reminded that he couldn't just do whatever he wanted at the same time. So his growth is still there. It's not that they're taking away his positivity. He's just kind of tempering some of his just careless selfishness down a little bit, but they're not totally taking that away. He's still very much fiercely protective of the people that he cares about, and willing to do anything, and willing to try to look at the good of people. And so he's very inspiring still, and it didn't take long for me to be like, oh, it's okay, because then they balance each other off, and it's about, there was just so many good lessons in there, which again, like with Power Rangers, like you could have some really good life lessons. One of the points of that is to show, be inspiring in different ways. And I think all of them were very inspiring in their different ways. So you can connect with a wide variety of people because they all had very good reasons, even for acting kind of crappy at times. Yeah. Right. So I was thoroughly. I would recommend that to anyone. If you're a fan or not, I would. It was
a lot of fun. Like, it was a lot of fun to watch, and it was sad when it was over. You know, and it's been a long time since I've watched a show where it's been like, oh, I'm sad that that's over. Like, and I think that really showed how entertaining the show was. So I there is going to be a second season. It was greenlit.
Excellent. We just don't know when it's going to be.
Hopefully all the strike stuff gets cleared up and we'll get new content.
There was
sooner than later.
Fish people in it, and their costumes and their designs were really impressive too. Yeah. Like they definitely didn't cheap out on them to make it where it's like, or they're only kind of fish people, so we don't have to have a like intent, CG or something. Like, it was like, no, there's fish people. Like, this is what we have to do. Yeah. They didn't. They really made you feel like this was part of it. And Luffy's stretching and everything. It wasn't just a rare occasion for it to happen. It happened when it made sense, and quite frequently, and they were interesting on how they did it. And
so here's something for you. So here's Netflix and whatever other company made this, and they full on make Luffy stretch. No problems. Look pretty good.
It looked,
right? There's Disney and Marvel with Miss Marvel saying, well, we need to change Miss Marvel's powers so that she doesn't get confused with Mr. Fantastic or whatever they tried to do. Because Miss Marvel stretches.
I was going to say, but why would she get confused with Mr. Fantastic?
I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot different between them.
Yeah. But it's that idea that now her powers have changed and her all that. Yeah. Like, but yet here's this where it's like,
because we like sparkly things.
Full on, like, just zany weirdness. And there is almost that where, like, I think the comic book movies and comic TV, you need to look at that. And
it's like they're afraid. Zany is a perfect explanation. Whenever I've looked at any of Kiddo's manga, I was like, this is fucking weird. Yeah. Like, it definitely is zany. A lot of but they did a good job of casting people that, because of course you can't have them all look exactly like they're drawn, but good casting, good design where you could tell who they are. And the costuming and everything was great, but it's still, when they could have the over-the-top zany, they did. And it was zany in a good way. Yeah. Yeah. And take those leaps of faith there where we are creating a fictional world. Why does it have to fit so much into the real world. You know?
So, but watch One Piece if you haven't. Check it out. It's worth it if you want some piratey goodness.
Piratey goodness. I like it.
Piratey goodness. So this year we were going to watch, this is a movie that we didn't put on our list, but I think we need to talk about it. I think it'll be a short discussion because usually we like to keep things more upbeat. So we were supposed to watch this movie. But then
I know what you're talking about.
But then we started watching One Piece because we didn't want to watch it. So then when the next night we were like, oh, do we want to watch this movie or do we want to watch One Piece? Kiddo was like, no, I want to keep watching One Piece. So we ended up just watching One Piece for the entire weekend instead of watching this movie.
This piece of hot, burning, steaming garbage. Go ahead.
Should I just insert the name and we move on?
Well, continue. I would like to know what you're going to say about this wonderful piece of art.
So this series is Universal's cash cow. It's baby. It's
that needs to die. The baby needs to die. The baby has mutated into a shell of its former self, and it needs to die.
We're talking about Fast X. So the fun fact is,
Sorry, I had my moment of like What We Do in Shadows, and I want to be, and I just want to spit on it. Right there. There we go.
Fast X. So the X is referred to the 10th entry in the Fast and the Furious saga. So Fast X takes us back to kind of not necessarily rewrite, but like
100% rewrite,
intensify what happened in Fast 5.
Provide background information.
That was not necessarily needed, but apparently was needed enough to create the new villain.
Like I loved Fast 5.
Yeah.
It was so good, and now this is like tarnishing it.
Fast 5 is my favorite out of that series. Mm-hmm. It brought it back to what it was. Kind of what it was, but like moving it forward. So the director that has basically been the one that spearheaded most of the new, like since Tokyo Drift, and all that, he left this production with creative differences. After making how many movies with it. Which is also why it should have died, because there should have been like, oh, wait, the person who made all these awesome stuff is thinking that we're doing something terrible? Maybe we are. So then the guy that made like The Incredible Hulk. Not making me feel more comfortable. I can't remember what else he directed. He directed this film. So... I feel like he has like Underworld directorial credits. I can't. Ew. No, maybe not. I don't know. Okay, I'll find out. So Fast X was bad. I can't even describe to you how bad it was. I can appreciate something being ridiculous and funny and bad, where it's like, this is insane. I'm okay with the insane stuff. Yeah. Like, I'd gotten to the point where I was laughing at the ridiculousness of it. Well, 9 is crazy, but like, I didn't mind it. I actually thought it was not bad. Yeah. There is like a terrible lack of story. Mm-hmm. And it's also, spoiler alert, part 1. Yeah. And it ends in this, like, when it just starts to finally get some action, it just ends. And the villain is just really sloppily set up, you know? Like, Momoa, his character himself, like, he's amusing. Yeah. And he's very like, what was the word we tried to use? I loved his fashion. I loved his... He reminded me of the Joker, though. He was very much like a comic book villain. Yeah, he reminded me of the Joker. Yeah. He was very over the top, very charismatic, very, like, but very scary. Yeah. That was a good design, but it was totally weird in this world. Yeah. And then everything to do with, like...
with our core team. There was no real story. There was no working together. There was no action, really. There was just, it lacked everything good about the entire series.
Well, because there was not a lot of car stuff.
Yeah.
And then everything that was car stuff, they had gone to CG versus like the real stunts that they had been doing for, were enhancing for CG in certain points. And then
he actually directed the first 2 Transporters, so he's really fallen down on his action aspect. Maybe that connection with Statham is so.
But then you would think he would have done a cooler scene with Statham.
You would have thought,
huh? Because he was just a throwaway. That's the problem too. Is like they seemingly has killed off everyone, right?
Yeah.
And
Grimsby. Sacha Baron Cohen, the brothers Grimsby.
But they brought The Rock back. But they killed Cena. Or seemingly killed Cena.
Which was so sad. Like, that, he was the best part of the movie. John Cena, hands down, was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, and they threw him away.
Every scene that he was in, I was okay with.
Yeah.
Everything he was not in was garbage.
Yeah.
It was just...
Oh, and they also brought back Gail Gadot somehow.
Yeah, we don't know where she came from.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of they weren't working together. They weren't making a plan. They weren't trying to... They just... It was awful.
It was one of those...
It was $7 on pay-per-view that I regret spending.
Aren't you glad I talked you off the ledge of when it was $25?
Yes.
Or when you wanted to go see it in theaters?
Oh, God, yes. So, yeah.
Yeah, like, this is definitely a low point from a series that seemed to be, as stupid as it was, fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I even at one point started to fall asleep. And then they had the gall, the audacity to wake me up. And
I told him if I had to deal with this shit, he had to too.
It was, yeah. And that's the thing that was sad was like, I don't feel like I missed anything.
No.
Like where I fell asleep versus where I woke up. I don't think anything happened.
No.
So
if you are on the ledge about whether you should watch this or not, don't.
Crawl back in the window.
Just no.
Don't take the jump.
As if it's done. If you still really need to know what we're talking about, do not pay for this garbage.
Yeah.
But those are my 2 recommendations.
That's Go watch Strays instead.
Please go watch Strays. Or One Piece.
Right?
Or Haunted Mansion. Or Fast 5.
That's the thing. That's the thing that says bad. So, like, what? The other day you were out at a conference and all that, and I couldn't find a movie to watch. And as I said earlier, I tried a couple shows and I ended up turning them off because I was like, And then I had my moment of like wanting to. I saw The Flash was available on Crave and Amazon on 2 services that we have, both free. They're really trying. And I looked at it and I was like, should I? And then I remembered the babies.
And then the babies came back and their little jiggly faces slapped me.
I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I ended up watching some Futurama instead.
That's a good choice. Good choice.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Fast X did not fill our cup. It was kind of like...
actually took our cup away.
It was...
and left me with less than I started with.
It was basically just like putting coffee grounds in your mouth and trying to choke it back.
No water, just the grounds.
Yeah. Used coffee grounds.
I like it.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it was like used coffee grounds.
Yeah.
So yeah. But what did fill our cup has been Ahsoka so far.
Oh, yes.
And all I'm going to really talk about is episode 5. Because holy crap, that was like
spoilers, by the way.
Well, I don't know, but it was just friggin' amazing. Like,
there was a few times where I was like, oh my god, holy crap!
Like the full fact, like the scenes where you're seeing this Force Ghost style Anakin, flashing between him and Vader, was just brilliant.
And you hear the breathing, too.
And like
and then the lightsaber changes and his eyes change in the back and forth with that. And the whole Clone Wars live action, just a glimpse of it, was just so
seeing
amazing.
It through the haze and the fog of a memory, like
seeing her live action version of her,
and just that.
I'm getting goosebumps talking.
That was just pure brilliance. And this series has been Rebels season 5, but it's been like good. Like I'm. It's a Tuesday drop where. If we can't watch on Tuesday, I'm sad. Yeah. Right. And that's something that is felt really good to have back with some Star Wars, because as much as some of the Mando's been really good and all that, this is Star Wars to me. Like, yeah. So I'm very excited to see where it goes. There's, only a few episodes left, but like.
Well, I'm excited that it actually lived up to our excitement, right? Yeah. I hope it continues. We were so stoked, and I'm really happy to say that it has met our expectations, if not exceeded them, honestly. Yeah. Because I think she was a really great cast for that too. She's done such a good job of being that calm, but also like you don't really know what's going on with her. She's very mysterious about it, and they've done such a good job of filming and it just it's amazing.
And just like most shows, once episode 5 hit, she put on a new outfit. She's back in white, meaning new action figure.
Oh snap!
So that's been a really good watch. Like I'm really excited for this show. I have no idea where it's going to go, but it's there. We've also been watching. We finally caught back up on Murders Only. Murders Only in the Building. For some reason, we decided not to watch season 2, and then we started watching season 2, and we binged the hell out of that.
Right? You were like, "So are we watching Murders? Is Murders tonight? Murders tonight?" That was weird text to get.
Yeah, right. And we're caught up to the recent episode. For season 3. I really like this show. It's fun. It's Steve Martin and Martin Short, and their comedy fire and the drama in it is great. Like it's a good show.
Well, they have such good chemistry together between all three of them. You have the really interesting characters. Season 2 was really, really good. Like, I really did enjoy it. Season 3 has been good but a very different style for it, right? Yeah. So it's taken a little bit of getting used to the different vibe, but I appreciate that there is differences to it, because at some point it would have become too repetitive. So
there's those little in jokes too, where they break the fourth wall slightly with that.
And being able to see them progress as characters throughout the show is kind of fun. Be able to see them dealing with different things. So I'm really curious to see where this is going. And you keep, you grab onto something. You're like, oh, it's going to be this person. And you're like, wait, no, they just make it so that you think it's everyone else. And like, no, don't worry. Next season or next episode, it'll be someone else they focus on. And so you constantly feel like you might be able to solve it, but you can't. So it's a really good show. It's something you should definitely check out if you're into that kind of like comedy, murdery, so. Comedy, murdery. Murdery things.
So this, we've been watching a lot of Disney Plus, apparently. Yeah. This just dropped on Disney Plus on the 13th here. We never saw it in theaters because, like, honestly, the trailers for myself never really caught my eye. You didn't push to see it either.
No, I didn't. I mean, I would have gone to see it, but I think it was like, oh, whatever. I was a little burned on the last ones, and I knew it was going to drop. Even if it had dropped to as an early release where I had to pay on Disney Plus, I probably would have been more inclined to do that. But Elemental.
Yeah, Elemental.
I wasn't quite sure if I wanted. I had just assumed it was another love story about, and it felt a little too basic.
Yeah, all the marketing. Yeah. Pushed it towards that Romeo and Juliet style.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be a Romeo and Juliet, and I was just like, no, whatever. Okay.
Right? Like, I actually... So, in the grand scheme of things, this is we talked about because I had some issues with this movie, and on a style thing, but Turning Red, I enjoyed the style of that because it was different from some of the other Pixar ones.
And on a side note, I also want to rewatch that movie. We haven't done that, but yeah, okay.
Because it was cartoony and big, and
so yeah, but this movie Elemental brought up Mike's. Like, I'm trying to figure out what was his last kind of movie that he really liked, a Pixar or Disney movie that he liked the style of.
Yes, because so right off the bat, I'll say I enjoyed the story of Elemental. I enjoyed the characters and all that. The characters themselves as beings and their voices and all that. The story is a great parallel for racism and the immigrant story and expectations from your family. It's romance side of thing is a very like subplot. It plays a big part in it, but it's not the purpose of the focus.
Movie. Yeah.
And so
that was a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, for us. Knowing this, I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was really well done. Visually, some of the characters are really cool, but there's a lot of it that still just kind of feels like the standard Pixar character design. Wade is Wade, right? He's got the big nose and the goofy look. Like he kind of looks like the Ratatouille guy. Her dad basically looks like anger.
I was gonna say he looks like anger. Yeah.
She looks like disgust.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of characters that feel like they just reskinned old characters, right? They took the framework from other characters and like, let's just put a new skin on it.
Yeah.
Right. So I felt Disney and Pixar have been very much keeping to, they're finding a style that's working for them and they're just sticking to it and they're not really expanding it. So with that question of it, what was the last Pixar one that I really liked? Coco I felt had a more distinct style.
Yeah.
Because none of the characters had that same Pixar look.
Yes.
Right? And there was a lot more detail to it, and especially the day glow that came into it and the
it was very
the paper and the it was a visually stunning film to watch.
Yeah.
Right? That being said, Turning Red had more of the cartoon look, which was kind of cool to see. But yeah, Coco was my last one that I really was like, yes.
Yeah.
This is, and I did mention to Lightyear with almost some of the hyper realisticness that they had at the beginning, but it did lose it later on because then they had the characters that were the standard Pixar characters as the side characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So.
Yeah. And when I first saw the picture of it on Disney Plus, I thought that they would have a little bit more of a distinct design difference between the fire and the water. Like she looked a lot more chalk based, and while there was some different edginess to her, there was still a polishness to it, and it was I do understand what you're talking about for sure. So I'm less picky when it comes to that type of stuff, but I guess I wouldn't say picky, less concerned about that. But I do understand what you're talking about, and if you and by you giving references to what you're, this is something that I would have considered, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that.
Well, I think because we're in an era of animation where, say, you have Spider-Verse, not saying like the actual superhero story element, but the fact that they're playing with different styles of animation within its own movie. Yeah. You look even at Ninja Turtles, because I did see that for a second time. The fact that it felt like a sketchbook come to life with like just this edgy, things were askewed, lines didn't add up, like the manholes aren't circular. They're oblong. Yeah. And, speaking of which, I did see that in 3D this time, and it felt cleaner and clearer in 3D than it did in 2D, which was wild. Yeah. So it was like a really cool experience to see it in 3D because all those layers came out in a different way. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
But So seeing that, even like Mitchell's and the Machines, it had a different look to it. And there's been a few other ones too that just like,
yeah, that one was different.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like the idea of like having some style, and that's kind of what's been sad for Disney, because Disney once Tangled for Disney animation, once Tangled hit and then Frozen hit, all those movies look the same.
Yes.
Encanto, Raya, they all look the same.
And I think that's, for me, like the disappointment was Raya was the first disappointment that really hit. I was expecting more from that. Like that, I don't know, that would have been really cool if it had more of like a watercolor feel to it. Like that would have been really pretty.
Yeah, being a water dragon.
Right? And then Encanto was boring looking.
Yeah.
You know, it also could have been more interesting, like similar to the Coco vibe, right? And not like you want to copy that in anything, but
they follow those sides, and that's why I said, like, when you go back to like Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, they have similarities, but none of those characters live in the same universe.
Yeah.
And the new Disney style is they all look like they live in the same universe.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, and so I appreciate that they're giving a chance to different creators to really tell a very unique story, and maybe a story that hadn't been told before, because this one had, it wasn't right in your face about the immigrant idea, because they use different ways and allegories to saying it, but at the same time it really wasn't a hard jump to be able to make. And especially if you were anywhere in actually living in a world like that, you would easily be able to pick up on that. So I appreciate that they're giving all these unique creators, stories, but then at the same time they seem to then not be having that creative design for things. It's like they're one or the other. You have to choose. Yeah. Right.
So by all means, though, just because I have a gripe with the style does not mean that the story itself was not worth viewing.
The story was amazing.
Yeah, I really was impressed with the story and how it told and how it unfolds and how it all goes together. The story, it's worth the view to see the story.
Well, I really like to. As I've gotten older, I appreciate when the love stories don't just, look across the room and love each other idea. Like, I appreciate that. And the relationship that is created is not a quick thing. It is built on a much more of a real feel. And I really appreciate that, because then it didn't feel like it forced, and it wasn't the shining star. It was a catalyst to for so many other big important things. Yeah. And so I really did enjoy that, because it was fun and satisfying to see, and heartwarming, and lovely to see it develop. Yeah. But so were all the other things, more importantly, right? Yeah. So I would definitely recommend it. I'm glad that we watched it. Yeah. And
it was not a waste of time.
Not at all.
Like Fast X.
I would have paid money for it. So look at that, we got all caught up.
Yeah, that's been our month since we've last left you. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Coming forward, I don't know what's really happening.
Hopefully not another month break. Yeah. Because we plan to
surprisingly enough, though, we totally missed The Nun too. That dropped last weekend.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's out of theater, but yeah. I know coming up, The Exorcist is coming out with a new Exorcist movie on the 5th of October. I really do want to see that. Yeah. And we do have some plans to be able to a bit more rad ninjas, because we're coming into the dry period.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of that type of stuff. So
between the strikes and all that, yeah.
So we'll have many long dry periods.
But we're headed into spooky season, so maybe we'll start some spooky season early. That was totally terrible, and that's what we're used to. It's like Italian. I don't know.
And you just kind of gave up. You're like, and I'm out.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we will hopefully see you guys I'm all over the place. Zen soon. I need substance. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
And remember, stay rad.